All right. So to touch on and do a little bit of recap for everybody while we're here, this is going to be very, very light because I think that this topic is actually ridiculously deep. So if you guys have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask in the chat. I am reading the chat pretty religiously right now. So if you guys really do get lost, please let me know. Let's see. I have Kefla and Goku Black. I just need a character with at least 42 frames of block stun. Ooh, okay. Why? Nebulae. That's fine. If you guys have any questions later on, you can let me know. But why do you need a character with 42 frames of block stun? Okay, yeah, but you don't need float mix Goku Black if you're rocking 42 frames of block stun. You can do float mix with like 25, 26. Like you don't need for Goku Black mix. You would need 44 if you want to make the 50-50 true. And while that would definitely be preferred and whatnot, you could just rock Kefla B and then pick any other anchor. I run Blueku Baby 21 and you get mix galore without super heavy block stun. Yeah, team's probably pretty okay. Pretty good, I imagine. I don't like how slow Baby B is, but, you know, whatever. You really don't need that much for Goku Black. Like, Goku Black has got some pretty interesting pressure. As Underrated T has learned since he, he's training with me, and I'm starting to train my trainees, and we may start doing that on stream. By the way, before we begin, obviously, if you guys are new here and you guys are like what you see, I do recommend subscribing. I do a lot of exclusive stuff for the subscribers. I started doing master classes and stuff. If you guys are interested in a paint stream with me and Star, I recommend go ahead and donating. If we hit our goal, we will do a paint stream for at least 3 hours, and I will personally draw a thank you and your favorite character for the highest donor. Now that we have that all the way, beginnings of strategy. Strategy is actually something that I feel is the thing the one of the barriers, one of the many barriers that keeps the mid level. And yeah, I do artwork from time to time. I'll probably try to show you. Did I see Yasha's tournament with Kaiden today? That's not really relevant to the discussion, but yes, I did. It was great. But yes, and also yes, I do artwork, and it's pretty okay. If you stick around towards the end of the stream and you remind me, I may show you a sample. I did a sample not too long ago. If not, I'll probably post a sample up on my Twitter and a little reminder for everyone, and then I'll just have like a Twitter link, sending out every now and again. But yeah, more importantly, guys. So strategy is the biggest thing that I think keeps the mid level. And the reason why is because one of the biggest complaints that I see at the mid level is how scrambly the game is. Press 1 in the chat if you play this game and you feel like a majority of the neutral is rather scrambly. I want to see some ones in the chat. Do you feel like your games are scrambly? That's a lot of you. And a lot of my stronger players too, which is kind of concerning. That's a lot of you. So, yeah. So the way you prevent scrambles, guys, obviously good movement, good neutral, good neutral, things like that. But the most important thing is strategy. Now you might be wondering, okay, you keep saying strategy, but what does that mean? Basically, when you play, everyone knows the term game plan, but game plan's not good enough. You actually need to have a plan to execute the game plan, if that makes sense. So when I say game plan, what do I mean by that? Well, game plan depends on the team. We talked about this before in a previous installment. So let's say I have this team. If I'm playing this team, which is my eval team, my game plan is to basically use these two neutral assists to catch you slipping and sell superior normals and movements in order to open you up. Basically, this team is going to open you up, build a lot of bar, and then my goal, bring in this guy, Vegeta. I want to keep Cell alive, but Cell's kind of the least important character on this team, and this character is somewhat expendable, and it's the classic point mid anchor structure as well. You have, I don't really play it like that, but, point is, this team has a very rudimentary game plan. Meanwhile, something like, I always pick on him, but we're going to do it today. Kasuga's team has a very specific game plan as well. You're going to build a lot of meter with Kefla, and you're going to DHC into one of these two level 3s. Both of them offer the same mix. Granted, one is significantly better at it. 21 is going to want her steals and whatnot, so if the character lives, if the character is guaranteed going to live, I would probably bring in 21 to make sure she gets her steals and bar. If I want to guarantee death and do as much damage as possible, I will probably do 18. General game plan. Very, very general game plan. Now, that's easier said than done, though, because it's requiring you to build a lot of bar, right? Okay, cool. So how do we actually... Thank you so much for the follow down, Birdie. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the content. So you might be wondering, okay, well, that's cool, but how do we even go about that? What do you do when you're actually face-to-face with an opponent? Because there's so many things that you have to keep track of. It's easier said than done. And today, this masterclass is going to be about the beginnings of paying some very, 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 basically paying attention to some very important principles that could make a critical difference in your gameplay today, if you can get this down. And I will include high-level examples with the Season 2 set at the end of the masterclass. Let's see. Would Broly be more stable than 21 on this team? And since 18 is already good for level 3 mix, and Broly has better uses for 21 than barrier. No. And the reason why is because Broly is the character that you play when you are trying to lose. 18 and 21 are both fantastic and have pretty decent synergy. The only reason why barrier is not as effective necessarily for 21 is because 21 is very safe. She doesn't really take a lot of risks, which makes barrier kind of unimportant for her. That doesn't mean barrier is not helpful. It's not as helpful as like it would be with Kefla, who is constantly making you guess in her pressure. And then once you add barrier, you basically end up teching a 6H and then you die. And, it doesn't really matter. If you really wanted to play an optimal version of this team, you would play these assists. But I like Kefla with barrier a little bit too much. But no, I wouldn't do Broly. Broly's kind of useless. And 18 gives Kefla really, really dumb pressure. So no, I would not do Broly at all. The three-way synergy is lacking. But that said, this game plan is incredibly, incredibly simple. But strategy is how we go about executing the game plan. And the first thing that we need to do in order to develop a strategy, there are a couple of principles, is understand our game plan. So those of you that were here and built a team with the team building masterclass for the Point War, you should be thinking about your team and what you want to accomplish. So that means you have a queen. That means you understand how you want to use the point, who you want to develop on your team, and how you want to utilize your team to effectively bring each of your characters into the strongest possible quote-unquote square. So I'm going to take some examples. Who wants to volunteer their teams for an analysis really quickly before we move on? I want to do this. I only need one team. I'm going to choose one of my subscribers instead. I don't like your team very much. It's decent, Ryan, but I'm not a huge fan of your team. Let's see. Base Vegeta, Janemba. How about mine? I'm not talking about 17. Base Vegeta, Janemba 21. No, I don't like it. I think Akano's team is probably the most cohesive. Kefla, Blue Vegeta, Cooler. That's a good candidate, actually. The question is, why isn't Blue Vegeta on point on that team? That would be my question, Wing Dude. That's not at all a bad team. It does have some weaknesses, though. So, most important thing, right off the bat. Thank you so much for the follow, cool boy. Really appreciate it. Vegeta should be point. Okay. So, I think you do B assist, correct? Already, I could formulate the game plan with this team. This team is very, very strong, and it's going to have a very offensive Point War oriented style. Like in the Point War, it's going to be pretty decent because Blue Vegeta has a neutral assist. He has Cooler A, which is going to cut off a huge portion of the screen and make jumping against him very, very, very difficult. which is good since a lot of people are going to try to disrespect Blue Vegeta. They're going to try to super dash him a lot because they know about the Ki Blast bug. They're going to try to jump over his projectiles on top of that. So having Cooler here in the back is really going to make... Thank you so much for the follow, Lance Manuel. I really, really appreciate it. Having Cooler right here in the back is actually kind of sick. Oh, BAA? Okay, yeah. So Cooler right here is going to defend base Vegeta. I'm sorry, Blue Vegeta. And it's going to basically create an interesting situation where it is risky to jump as Ki Blasts because you can't reflect anymore. So that means if you jump and you try to disrespect him and that catches you, is dragging you back down to the ground, now you're in a lot of block stun. So he's going to go ahead and take his turn. Not only that, but Blue Vegeta's pressure is extremely good. It's very self-sufficient, and when he does use assists, he does get a 50-50 off of it with both of these characters, which is really, really strong. Overall, I can already see that your game plan, if I didn't know you, Wing Dude, and I saw this team in tournament, okay, like I saw you were my opponent and I saw your team on the screen, I would immediately think he's going to try to 50-50 me. He's going to use Kefla to bully his way through neutral, utilizing his mobility. He's going to use Cooler to clamp me down, and then he's either going to put me in really good stagger pressure or you're going to 50-50 me. Once you 50-50 me, you're probably either going to two-touch and then bring in Kefla. Kefla is going to continue to build bar for your team. Kefla utilizes this particular assist, Cooler A, extremely well. Cooler B, or I'm sorry, Blue Vegeta B is probably going to facilitate her 50-50s. So her left-right stuff with her JS to help her confirm meterlessly off of it. That's going to help with her zoom mix-ups. This team is pretty cohesive. This team has a logic to it. Pretty obviously. So because this team has a fundamental logic to it, you can start to form the basis of a strategy. So if you're going to play this team... No, I'm just going to do it with colors. Let's say you're going to play my team. Okay, so let's say I'm Wing Dude today. Oh, I forgot. I'm going to go back to character select, but chat, which subscribers only, which stage should I do today? So right here, right off the bat, round start, boom. You take your turn. That's, you know, very oppressive. Boom, boom, boom. Oppressive. And then, you know, once you have your assists... Oops, wrong one. I'm trying to cover the gap. I'm not doing Land of the Kais. Ugh. Really, guys? Why do you have such crappy tastes in maps, guys? Seriously. You know, 50-50, then you get the opening, do your thing, build bar. Boom. Not only that, but this team in particular is going to two-touch very well because you actually have very high DHC damage with Cooler, 908. Yeah, it's a terrible map. Subscribers only. Stardust. Rocky Field, I like. Space, Rocky Field Noon. I did Rocky Field Noon last time. You know what? I haven't done Space yet. Space is probably my most requested map. Like, whenever Ryan's here, it's like instantly Space. I think I actually might end up doing Space, to be honest. Yeah, but Land of the Kai is an eyesore, and it's a computer drain. It introduces so much input lag. Ugh. What's next? Galactic Arena? You know? Oh, what are you requesting today, Ryan? I request Space. Cool. So, yeah, there you go. We'll do Space. So here we go. Really cool. 50-50s. Neutrals really strong. You know, doing this. And then if they super dash you, you know, you can cover the air like that. Call it. You can dash block. Kind of misses sometimes, but if they jump back, which a lot of people tend to, you know, you can go ahead and pin them. You have a lot of options here, which I think is really, really, really fantastic. Now, when does this team begin to fall apart? Like, if I wanted to cripple this team, what would I do? Yo, Celtic Predator with the resub. Thank you so much, man. Really, really appreciate it, dude. Really, really, really sick of you. I'm sorry, really sick. That came out wrong. I meant it was sick of you to do. I don't mean I'm sick of you, bro. So sorry. Watching some playoff hockey, but wanted to stop by and show some love. Thank you so much, Celtic Predator. Really appreciate it, bro. Nah, I'm sick of you. Leave. I'm joking. Thanks, man. Losing Cooler would cripple it a little? Not really. Losing Kefla would. The reason why is because once you lose Kefla, once Kefla dies... See, if Cooler dies, right? Cooler dies. Cooler dies. You still have a neutral assist. You still have your 50-50, which is fantastic. Once Kefla's in, she can still, you know, she's basically playing solo now, but she can easily, if she gets the touch, you know, she can easily use Blue Vegeta to confirm her own excellent neutral, so she can, you know. Yeah. And not only that, but if... not only that, but here's another problem. Ooh, that's a high. Good confirm. Meanwhile, if Blue Vegeta dies... we're gonna do this. Not as good of a confirm. I can't really... See? Like, it's way too hard to confirm that. And look at that. That's about 300 less damage, to be honest. And I don't even have the option to pump more damage into it as well. So, like, this... I just kind of die. You could probably get, like, a cheeky side switch. Like, you know, you could probably do something like that, but that's about all it's good for. Yeah, like this. But yeah. Hellzone... So, spoiler alert for Kefla mains, there's a reason you never see Hellzone at high level. It's not that great. It's just... Like, even in Hellzone combos, like, no one does it. Hard to confirm unless you're kind of... It's not that it's hard to confirm. It's that you don't get this. You don't get the optimal conversion because, like, if you get this, you just get the same B and B. Okay, you know, that's fine. However, with Blue Vegeta, even though it's a crappy assist, you know, everyone says so. You know, you have... corner carry and almost 300 or almost 400 more damage than you normally would. And the reason why that's important is also because of the flexibility of the route itself. If you guys have rejumps, for example, Kefla has a rejump where she can do... I can't do it, to be honest. It's really, really hard. Yeah, it's really, really tricky to get. But if you guys have a rejump, you could do the rejump for even more damage. If you guys are closer to the corner, you have... you know, that for extra meter, but more importantly, you have this. And look at that massive damage output. Look at that huge damage output. So if I'm like right here, Kane. This is still not an easy assist to confirm. Honestly, I think I have to micro dash, which is annoying, but... Look at the damage off of that. That's almost 4K. I spend half a bar to put them in two-touch territory, and I get the corner anywhere on the screen. Right after doing a left-right 50-50. That's really, really strong if you can master that particular conversion. So, right off the bat, the thing that's really powering this shell is definitely Kefla. Because Blue Vegeta with Cooler is okay. Blue Vegeta with Kefla, really strong. Not only do you get good neutral, you also get the 50-50s. The upward angle becomes less important because he can cover it himself as well. So, like, having Cooler, while advantageous, not really the end of the world, especially, you know? And not only that, but Cooler does not really help with his mobility because it can whiff. So, essentially, what you really want to do is you want to keep Kefla alive. Now, how do we form a... Now, if I'm in tournament, this is where we form a basis of strategy. The first rule of strategy is know yourself. Now, it sounds like some mystical mumbo-jumbo, but in practical terms, what that means is understand what your team is capable of. Understand what you, with your team, are capable of. If you are not very good with your team, that's a weakness. But I'm going to assume that you know your teams, and that you know your teams extremely well, and that your teams are optimized. Assuming that you know your teams like the back of your hand, you guys are going to essentially... You guys are essentially going to make sure that you know how to use them. If you don't know how to use them, don't use them. Secondly, know your weaknesses. What is the weakness here? Kefla is a weakness. This team, while it has very strong cohesion, it's not as strong as a team like mine. Or it's not as strong as a team like... like Hasuga's. It's not as strong as a team like Titans, where these characters have much tighter synergy and are essentially much more useful in pretty much every regard. This team is not as cohesive. So, when you attack this team, you have to be mindful. The biggest strategy with Blue Vegeta that I would do is when I play the Point War, I would do 3 things. 1, like if I were to play against, not Blue Vegeta, I would say Wing Dude's team, what I would want to do if I wanted to cripple this team, I would raw tag a lot. And the reason why you would raw tag is because Blue Vegeta can't really do anything about it, especially if he starts zoning. If Wing Dude catches on that you're raw tagging a lot, he'll have to stop zoning, but that will require him to start using his assists a lot more, which in turn makes his assists easier to bait because he needs them to get in, and he can't do it without it. He has to take every opportunity. He can't afford to let an opportunity sit by. Not only that, raw tagging would be incredibly important because if you're raw tagging a lot, you're undoing a lot of the damage that these 3 characters can do to you. And these 3 characters hurt like a truck. Like, they hit you really, really, really hard. But if you're raw tagging, managing that health, there's very little he can do to stop it. That would be how I defend against this team. Now, if I wanted to go on the offensive with this team, I would bait Blue Vegeta's assists. I would bait Blue Vegeta's assists, and then I would put Blue Vegeta in a blocking situation. This is a character that you need to eliminate immediately, and you want to damage this team. But remember, Blue Vegeta is not your target. Thank you so much, Righteous Pass, for the follow. Sick reference, by the way. Really, really dig it. Really, really cool. What do you mean by baiting assists? Oh, pain. You guys are making me regret this. You guys are gonna make me regret this, aren't you? Oh my god.
Everything's on fire! Oh my god! Oh my god, Taki, get up!
Ring match evaluations are gonna be fun with this shit, isn't it? Isn't it? Ring match evaluations are gonna be fun. So what do I mean by baiting assists? Baiting assists is utilizing your movement. So you guys have seen me do this movement pattern a lot, and you guys have seen Star do it, and me and Star do it at high level as well. But basically, what this movement pattern does, and the reason what it's designed to do, is you need to use your assists to catch your opponent. The way you use your assists is not like an American. The most common mistake that I see when it comes to assists is people doing this. Just calling assists and doing nothing. This is not very good. What you want to do is you want to use your assist in tandem with your movement options. By the way, that was a sick fucking conversion. I don't want to hear it if you disagree. All right. This is super, super, super good. You know, somehow Akano, I don't believe you. No offense. Because I've seen you move and you don't have the movement. I haven't seen you do the movement necessary to bait an assist claw. You usually just end up holding an assist. No offense. But more importantly, so movement patterns like this, where you move forward, back, a lot of veteran fighting players will call this footsies. Oh, my bad. Isn't it also to bait the SD? No. This is to bait the SD. This is SD bait. But this... Oops. This, getting that close to the opponent, this is assist bait. So I would go here, backdash, come in, and then run up and take my turn. Stuff like that. To bait the assists, I would essentially use my movement, my good movement, to bait a reaction out of Blue Vegeta. So boom, Blue Vegeta calls cooler. Whoa, okay, and now I come in and I try to attack him. Maybe he sees me coming in after calling Blue Vegeta, so he starts zoning. He starts pressing 5S. Okay, that's fine. We'll just block, dash block, dash block, dash block, dash block. And then I notice I'm close enough. He does it again. Boom. And then I start with my offense. So if I'm playing, I should have picked Wingdude's team, but imagine Kefla as Blue Vegeta. Okay, so we called cooler. All right. Now she's gonna start zoning. She doesn't want me to come close. She's not ready for me to come close. So I'm gonna dash block, dash block, dash block. If he Rekka's in, I'm just gonna reflect. Dash block, dash block, and then once I'm about right here, I might do something like jump over, call an assist to convert. If he's trying to create distance, I might bait, go in, or I might even something like that. Oops, let's see if I can do it. Something like that. Get him into the corner. Boom. Now, my goal is to not really kill Blue Vegeta. See, this is where strategy begins. We're going to cover that in a second, but we're going to come back to Wingdude. But I just damaged Blue Vegeta in this hypothetical situation. Blue Vegeta took, let's say, 3.5k of damage. Chat, what is the correct thing? What is the goal that Wingdude should have if in tournament I damaged his Blue Vegeta and he lost both of his assists and now he's an Oki? What is the first thing? What is his number one goal for Blue Vegeta right now? Get Blue Vegeta out. Raw tag. So how many of you have been impressed by a sick read where you see like, oh, dude gets in, but then you see something like a character walk back and then the raw tag comes in and then you 2H? How many of you have been impressed by seeing that in tournament? Like whenever you see that, maybe you said to yourself, wow, that was such a sick read. That's not a read. That is the only thing he can do. See, Wingdude cannot allow Blue Vegeta or Kefla to die. We need Blue Vegeta because Blue Vegeta is the thing that makes Kefla's pressure the most threatening on that team. So, what we're going to do is we're going to raw tag Kefla out. We're going to raw tag Blue Vegeta out, get Kefla in. Okay? But now, me, knowing that that's his plan, I'm just going to walk back. I'm going to pressure, walk back. He raw tags, 2H. And that's not because I'm better. It's not because I'm really, really good. It's because I understand what Wingdude wants to do in this hypothetical situation. Which brings us to the third important principle. Know your enemy. Know your opponent. Know who they are. Know what they want to do. Now, obviously, you are not going to be able to read your opponent's mind. You don't know what they want necessarily. Thank you so much for the follow, Sachiko Sasaki. I feel like I know that name. Where's that from? Sachiko, can you tell me in the chat where that's from? I feel like I know it, but it's on the tip of my tongue. It's going to bother me now. Sachiko, please. But basically, you want to be able to identify what their general game plan is going to be and prepare for that game plan. So, oh, that's funny. Okay, I feel like I know it from somewhere. Damn. I have to Google it. No, you're right. It's not from anywhere. Fuck. Sachiko Sasaki, I guess, is an animator. Maybe that's where I know. Maybe that's where I know her. But Pain. Oops. Thank you for letting me know. But yeah. Anyway, point is, you need to be able to identify your opponent's game plan by looking at their team. Their team and their assist choices will tell you a lot, including whether or not they're able to play for the game. That is going to be your first clue and the first thing you need to think about when you think about strategy. So now I'm going to test you guys. Suppose my enemy is Star. This is the team. Not necessarily reading the book. It's like playing chess. When you create strategies, you need to think about what your opponent wants. Yes, this is his main team now. He played it against me quite a bit in the last few weeks, so including on stream. Yeah, this is his main team. Now, guys, what is the game plan of this particular team? So let's pretend that your opponent is Star. And let's say we're in this screen and we see this team. What does he want? That is a question you should always ask yourself about your opponent. What do they want? Pressure. Everyone wants pressure. Pressure how? What do you mean by pressure? What does that mean? What does he want? Sell meter? Why does he want meter though? Why does he want meter? Meter for Vidal's pressure and Tien's damage. Okay, but does Vidal need meter for her pressure? Because she has EX grab, but Vidal doesn't really need meter like that. Vidal also builds plenty on her own. Does she really need a battery? You are correct, actually. I don't know if I should call you R Fortunate or Savage. But you are correct. You are correct. You want to build pressure with Cell. Sure. You want to build pressure with Cell so you can abuse it. But let's get more specific. That's not enough to form a strategy on. Okay? How is he going to get bar? Because what can Cell do? And what does this team do for him? What do these assists do for Cell in particular? Suffocating with the pressure of Cell and Vidal, basically pushing their patience until they crack. No. I'm sorry, but that's not accurate. They are capable of that. But you're implying that they're just going to stagger to death. And that's not what's happening. Okay, good. All right, so we've identified the first thing, the first element of what he wants. He's probably going to use TNA to get in. All right, cool. So we've identified the first strategy. What do we need to do? Yeah, there you go. Both of you, Odd Toaster and Nova Zane, you guys get a cookie. You are correct. And she does so gaplessly, especially if he staggers. And then 6Ms. It's pretty crazy. In the corner, I believe it's a gapless. With his timing, I think. Like something like... something like that. You want block stun on Videl because Cell can abuse it. But Cell can also do some other fun stuff, by the way. Oops, messed up my reach up. Ah, messed up. Yep, you are correct. You get the point. If Cell has bar, same side air mix, rolling crush is a bit evil. Sure. But you're getting beyond the point. What does he want? Not what can he do, what does he want? So now we've identified this, neutral. This, mix. This is not as useful for neutral. Look at that startup. Which means he is a lot less likely to... this is a lot more difficult to bait. This, however, he's going to spend pretty liberally. However, no block stun. Like, no block stun. Making it a little bit hard for him to enforce his game plan. So that's a potential weakness we can explore. But exploring weaknesses is not as important as denying him his game plan. You don't want to play Cell. I love Cell, actually. I think he's amazing. Sorry, Kasuga. But yeah, what does Star want to do with this team? What's the goal? Why do we want that bar? Also, thank you for joining me, Kasuga. Give it up for Kasuga, guys. I don't think I can go a stream without mentioning his team. Oops. Bane. Spell. Turn around, bro. What? I still haven't seen it. Guys, what does he want? It's very, very simple. Yes! Zane! Exactly! Videl has a really good level 3. Her level 3 corner carries. And it's particularly scary because the big thing with characters that have the 50-50, the super jump ID 50-50, is that both options lose to reflect. So you kind of have to gamble some weird shit. But Videl can do... and she can also bait your spark with that. And if she gets a conversion, she gets a very high damage conversion. She will be able to do approximately 3.4 to 3.9k, depending on the combo. And if she gets that confirmed, and by the way, she builds a bar through the meter penalty. If she has enough bar, she can two-touch. She will kill you. Not only that, Ideally, when you bring her in, she should have some bar left over. If she kills meterlessly, which she should hope so, she will build more bar. And when she builds more bar, now her neutral is a serious threat because she's got this. That's difficult to deal with. This is fucking horrifying. Because this is a thing. This... Oops, didn't mean to call both assists. Stuff like that. You basically get put into a mix-up immediately. This has so many options, and it's so fast. Which, by the way, imagine if she had a reflect, and she could actually do the bar up thing. Reflect 236H, and then immediately put you on a mix-up for being wrong. That would be amazing. Like that, wing dude. And that still beats 2H, by the way. Oops. There we go. It's basically a 50-50. It's basically a 50-50. Yeah, no, Videl? You guys haven't fought Videl. Like, you guys have fought the weirdos on rank that are maybe a little bit concerningly into Videl. But you haven't fought a really good Videl. She is monstrous. And she is really fucking hard to block. This character is fucking evil. You know? Oh god, if that worked. Yep. Good luck. Yeah. So, right off the bat, Cell wants to build bar for her level 3. So Cell is gonna probably want to do something like... I missed the conversion. We see 3 bars, level 3 bars. If I hit that, it probably would have given me the 4th bar. Level 1, level 3. Or I could just straight up level 3 from there. Boom, 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 done. Now you are in a level 3 mix-up. And here you go. Now here's another perk. Why is Tien on this team? What is a weakness on this team? Yeah. While you guys answer, I'm going to practice my Cell combos. Oops. PHC damage, you are correct. And Tien helps with that. Oh. Forgot. Oh, wait. I forgot. Perfect attack. I'm dumb. You can't say that when Tien is there. Yes, that's my point, Kasuga. The weakness on the team is Videl, and Tien compensates for that. And now every damage hurts. The weakness is the neutral. I don't even agree with that either, to be honest. I gotta see you fight this team, Kasuga. I want to see you go at it with Star for real. Kasuga, 1st to 10 when? When are you going to do a 1st to 10 with Star? When is it? Like, this team against mine and neutral is like garbage. Okay, that is actually true. This team would struggle a little bit. Except Videl. I think Videl would do okay against her team. Videl herself, she'll do fine. I think. Yeah, I think she'll be fine. That's so fun. Let's go. I don't even know how to convert that assist with this character. But yes, Kasuga is correct. If you were going to attack this team, you would attack it in neutral. Particularly when he's on the field. He lacks really good range options that aren't huge commitments. So against Kasuga's team, for example, against Kasuga's team, 21's 2S is going to make Cell a nightmare because he's also very tall, so he will actually catch a lot of her projectiles as well. He would have to basically play very, 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 very carefully in neutral, which can be a little bit of a problem, especially since this doesn't really do a whole lot to help Cell get in. It does help convert. I mean, this does have decent hit stun, but it's not that great. And when it goes up against assists like Kefla and 21A, it can have a little bit of a problem. Not only that, but Cell has excellent approach tools. So Cell has excellent air normals, he's got excellent ground normals, he can do this. Barrier makes all of that risky. So, right there, Kasuga's team would be really good at attacking the weakness of this team. Another team that would give it a little bit of a struggle is mine. So let's look in the right column here. If you're playing this team, Bluku, Kefla, Beerus, what do I want to do? If I know that he's going to want that level 3 right now, I'm not too worried about Cell. I need to kill Videl. Videl is really annoying. And Videl also makes Cell ridiculously fucking hard to block because it doesn't matter if he staggers if he can true string 50-50 me. Cell also does a lot of damage. If I'm not careful, I can get true string 50-50 into a 2-touch. So, I can't allow that assist to live. I'm not too worried about Cell. Tien's good, and Tien is a little bit of a concern. Tien frightens me a little bit. But if Videl's gone, I maybe don't have to worry too much about this team. They don't demand a lot necessarily. They just have a lot of weaknesses that the player has to play around. And that can be really difficult when your opponent is Kasuga, and Kasuga doesn't have to play around those weaknesses. And Kasuga is going to attack them with 2S. With 21, he's going to zone with Kefla, fastest key blast in the game. 18 would struggle, but 18's 18. If she gets the life lead, he has to approach her, and approaching her is a risk. So if I were him, I would just never play 18 until I want to 50-50 him. And then I 50-50 him. Now he has to hold 18 Oki, and that's fun. Holding 18 Oki, you can't even see the 50-50 dog. Oh boy, yay! And not only that, but if Cell's bleeding, she can call EX17, which makes raw tagging very, very, very challenging for this team. Especially when these characters are so assist reliant. So Kasuga, yeah. Now here's the thing. Does that mean Kasuga is going to win? Not necessarily. But it does mean that Kasuga has an easier time formulating a counterplay to Star's team. Now Star can account for that counterplay, but now we're talking about strategy. It's a little bit ahead of where we are right now. So, if we have Cell, Videl, Tien, and we have an idea of what he wants, he's going to want a 50-50 beat. He's going to want to get the life lead early. He's going to want to bring in Videl with bar, either through a level 3 or through a raw tag. That Videl is coming in with bar. That Videl is going to do massive amounts of fucking damage. And that Videl is also going to essentially delete me with Tien. More importantly, you might be wondering, okay, but doesn't Videl lack of reflect? Yes, which is why she's on mid. You see, it doesn't matter if she has a reflect or not if she's pressuring you. So if you already won neutral, and she comes in and now is putting you in a fucked up mix-up that's going to 2-touch you, congratulations. It doesn't matter if she has a reflect or not, you're dead. So you have to think about that. Now, let's look at my team. How does my team counter this team? If you're playing my team, Bluku, Kefla, Beerus, all A assist, or BAA even, how are we going to utilize that to take advantage of Cell's weakness? How are we going to approach Star's team? What is our goal? Nasuko, you can answer just because I'm curious, but you have the answers, man. I can't. Oops. Ooh, my bad. Why? Well, that's a given. You always want to get your opponent to spend their assists before you actually approach them. It's a good strategy, but that is a universal strategy. But what is a weakness my team specifically can target? Anyone can do that. But I'm talking about something unique to my particular team. And I'll give you a hint. It's a matchup. Beerus versus Videl. How do we facilitate that? Let's do this. Nope. Oops. Not gonna, yeah, win the point war, sure, but not necessarily. Messed up. Or better yet, you know what? I'll do an even simpler combo. Ooh. I was paying attention to the wrong bar. Damn. My bad. Yo, what's good, Vegeta? Damn it. I got distracted by chat. That is what I would do to Vidal. I could also do that off of my unreactable command grab. So basically, no matter what, I'm bringing in Beerus in his strongest position, and Vidal really doesn't have a counterplay here. She really doesn't have a counterplay here. This is extremely vulnerable for her, especially because I can pressure all I want. So, now, that would be cool, but how do I facilitate that? So my goal, what I want more than anything, if I'm playing this team, what I want that Vidal dead. And I have a character that is really good at making that Vidal dead. I have a character that's really good at making the Vidal dead. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, you could buff Vidal and give her a reflect, but even if she had a reflect, wouldn't make too much of a difference. Wouldn't make that much of a difference. However, the problem is, I'm targeting her now, and she now has to hold Beerus pressure, and Beerus pressure is very scary. So, Beerus opens her up, Beerus kills her, boom, we're done. And this team has a lot of damage as well. So, and not only that, this team, when Beerus doesn't have to kill, has pretty decent meter gain. Messed up. Gotta practice this team. Now I sliding knock. 2 touch. I actually don't even need to spend level 1 with Beerus. I can actually literally just DHC from the DP into Bluku. Are you not supposed to reflect Beerus in the corner anyway? The thing is the reflect will give you a counterplay. Because the thing that the reflect can do is... The reason why you're not supposed to reflect him in the corner is because he's so plus. Like, if I just do this, I'm plus 20. If you reflect that, you're not any more or less plus. And now we enter the reflect mind game. So if I do something like tap and you reflect my 5L, I come back in, I come back in, I come back in, I come back in. Like, this character just keeps coming back in. There you go. I got this. If you reflect tag, you die. Exactly. This is a very stressful situation for an opponent. Because if you reflect tag, you die. If you super dash, you die. If you reflect, you can die. You basically, the best way to get rid of a Beerus is to kill him in neutral because his neutral is really bad. So, if I get that Videl in... Now, here's the thing, though. How do I get that Videl in? What's a strategy, guys? What can I do to get that Videl in besides snap? What is something that a lot of good players do a lot? Rotate. But why do they rotate? Blue health, not so much. Blue health is one of the reasons why. I would argue the least important one. Raw tag helps a layer to certain situations? No, not really. All of them are risky. You're correct. But that's the thing. If I manage to force a raw tag, the chances of her having 3 bars are not very high. Because she's not quite developed yet. Remember, he wants to develop Videl. If he raw tags her in, he's bringing her in to preserve Cell, but he's not completing her development. He can't bring in Tien, because if he brings in Tien and Tien takes damage, his super damage now begins to hurt him and makes a comeback, if he needs to, a lot less likely. Odd Toaster, you are nowhere near in the ballpark. You're not even on the same planet that we're on right now, buddy. The answer is very simple. No, that's fine, dude. The answer, guys, is do damage. Open him up. So I would open Cell up. Now, Kasuga, if you're in the chat, tell me something. Would you raw tag, obviously, intelligently, but would you be looking to raw tag if you took this? I can already tell you, even if he's not in the chat, his answer is probably yes. Not necessarily to raw tag, but he will be thinking about getting that character out as soon as possible. And the reason why he would be thinking about that is because even when you have this much health, guys, here's the thing that you need to understand. When you have this much health, to kill your character, they would need to land a medium starter, have both assists, usually, depending on the character. I probably have 1 to 2 to 3 bars, and Spark. If they're really optimal and have the right team, they could probably do it with a 2M start, 2 assists, and 0 bar. But they would require Spark with the right team. So you want to keep your characters as healthy as possible. If you have about this much damage, all it takes is a medium start and maybe 4 or 5 bars. If you're here, all I need is a really, really, really good 2L combo with some bar. If you're here, all I need is 2 bars and 1 assist extension most of the time. If you're here, you probably die off a DR. Health management is important. So most top level players will usually tag out a character with about that much life left. Your character looks like this. Most high level players will already be looking to tag. Tag or get the point out and finish the development basically. But you do not want to get hit and you do not want to take damage. Okay? You want to manage your health. Now, because I know, like, let's say I'm playing Star or Kasuga, I know that they're good players. I know that they're going to be thinking about getting them out. So, remember, what is the golden question we should always ask ourselves in every situation? What's the golden question, chat? No. Not what is my opponent going to do. Although you're very close, Downbird. You're very, very, very close. What's the golden question? Not what can they do. What do they want to do? What does my opponent want? Star, in this position, would want to bring that Vidal in and preserve this cell as much as possible. The best way he can achieve that is if he gets a hit on my Bluku and builds 2 bars, or he raw tags. Now, raw tag can be used defensively. He can raw tag her out of pressure. Not only that, but she's pretty good. She's a safe raw tag because she can build a lot of bar herself. She's kind of hard to catch in neutral, and it's very hard to bully her because she's got really good neutral tools. The problem is, that's what I want. I am counting on it. I am counting on it. Now you see the problem. So, if I'm counting on it, 2 things are going to happen. Either I'm going to unreactable command grab you, DR, or otherwise open you up, and then I'm going to bring in Beerus. If you get touched, even mid-screen, you're still holding this. Oops. Misspaced it. But you are still holding some form of pressure. Especially if I get a JH smash off of a certain confirm. So if I do something like... So basically, if Vidal's in... Isn't your main a powerhouse? You should be developing your anchor? No. Because you want to play your anchor with your character still alive. You don't want to bring out your anchor when everyone's dead, guys. That's generally a very good way to lose. One of the biggest things that I can show you about health management is I have seen top level players, Wawa, Kasuga, I've seen all of them time and time again in this position. Assists are that important. Assists are that important. Where they're going to keep that character with a pixel. Because even without Limit Break or Spark, Vidal gives TN a 50-50 and probably built a lot of bar for him. So if Vidal gets me that hit, you are losing a character. You are probably dying. Oops. That's up. Yeah, you're losing a character. Oop, messed up. Let's get that. But with your, doesn't Bluku develop yours? Yes. Yes, he does. Not as opposed. Kefla also develops Beerus, which is why she's mid. I could very easily play Bluku, Beerus, Kefla and be perfectly content. In fact, Kasuga played that exact order when he played my team against me. And the team was functionally fine. I just play this order in particular because I can. But yeah, Beerus is not my anchor, and I have no intention of playing Beerus solo. My worst case scenario is Beerus solo. That is what I don't want on this team. I do not want Beerus alone. But there you go. Now, to basically pull back a little bit, we now understand a little bit of strategy. We are able to formulate strategies at high level based on what the opponent is likely going to do. And when we understand how players play at high level, one of the things that you're going to learn, this is the truly advanced form of strategy, is how to force a move. So what do you mean by force a move? Well, if I get enough damage on that cell, you're either going to spark or raw tack. You know I want that. You know I want that raw tack. You know I want that spark. I'll settle for either. But here's the thing. You might be wondering, well, what if I just choose not to give it to you? What if I don't spark or raw tack? Then you die. So basically, your only choice is you either give me your spark or give me your mid, or you're an idiot. That's a fucked up situation to be in. And you will be surprised how often these situations come up at high level. Because everyone has basic principles. People with good fundamentals, you want to let your characters live. It's very, very, very good to find opportunities to force that. Now, here's the thing, chat. We're not going to get into that for quite a while. We're way off from that. And that is something that is very, very hard to master. But I want you to pay attention and be aware of its existence now at the beginning, because I want you guys to analyze high-level play and see when a move is forced. See if what you thought was a sick read was actually a forced move. And what do I mean by forced? It means that it wasn't a sick read. It was literally the only thing they can do. It was their only choice to not. It was their only option to not die. Those are very, very rare, but very disgusting situations when something's forced like that. And they do happen a lot. And strategy is developing ways of creating those moments. So, to reiterate, chat, I'm going to need a timestamp if one of you guys can timestamp this. But basically, to reiterate, to build strategy, you need to know yourself and your limitations. You need to know your weaknesses, and you need to know your opponent. You need to ask yourself what your opponent wants to do and think about what they want to do. And then the fifth step is you need to deny them what they want. Which players do you think is the best at forcing moves? Goichi. There is not a single player on this planet better at forcing decisions than Goichi. It is what makes Goichi horrifying to play against. Because a lot of people, they see Goichi and they see the obvious stuff. They see his fantastic defense. They see his decently optimal combo routes, even though they sometimes suck. They see his, occasionally crackhead style, but they just see clean Dragon Ball. But everyone who faces him will encounter a situation in which he put you in where the situation is forced and the situation is evil. And he is really fucking good at it in ways that are actually kind of scary. Goichi is shockingly good at that. But yeah, you can build a strategy with that. Now, not every strategy is important, but basically, those are the 5 principles. Know yourself, know your weakness, know your enemy. What do they want? How do we not give them what they want? Those are the 5 fundamental steps to creating and formulating strategies. And by the way, a strategy doesn't have to be long-term. It doesn't have to be a master plan. If you guys are a player that likes to play in the moment, as a lot of top-level players are, that's okay. But you need to develop a situational awareness, meaning there needs to be a moment, no matter how fast you play, where you realize that your opponent wants out, or you realize that your opponent is going for something, or you realize that your opponent is baiting a specific option. Having that kind of situational awareness is so critical to high-level play, because having that high-level situation will help you develop strategies in the moment. Having that awareness will help you develop strategies in the moment and make it so difficult for your opponent to play. The goal of having a strategy is, how do I maximize my advantage and develop my characters? And how do I prevent my opponent from doing the same? But that's the important thing. Now we're going to run some exercises. Okay? I need a team. I need another volunteer. First team up, I will put. Chat, what's the team? What's your team? First one only. Nope, anyone. You got there late, Downbird. I feel bad. Here. Downbird, technically you were the first, but you had a question. What's your team, Downbird? Okay. What assists? Okay. Were we playing on space? Wait, what map were we playing on just now? No, we were playing it. Did I autopilot and pick? Yeah, I did. Fuck. All right, we're playing on space now for the rest of the night. All right. First things first. All right, team. What is the advantage of this team? What is this team good at? Come on. Okay, Larry up with Yamcha. Okay, classic. Good at getting in. Okay. What else is it good at? Building bar for Trunks, is it? Pressure. Do I remember how to do Bardock? No, I think it's... No? Really? Really? Weird. Weird. Yo, Daydreams with the Prime sub, thank you. Maybe if I delay. No, too much. There we go. And then from there, yeah, I get it. Can't do it that fast. Do I need to delay? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay. I'm not delaying. But yeah, chat. What does this team want to do? This team wants to get in and punch in the face, right? This team wants to get in. Okay, cool. Now, what's the weakness with this team? Nothing wrong with aggressive. What's the weakness of this team? Trunks needs a lot of bar. That's the only weakness you see? Yamcha needs bar also. Okay, so already we see a competition. Full screen weakness. Really? Full screen weakness. Really? Full screen weakness, huh? Full screen weakness. Don't know about that, Chief. Don't know about that, Chief. Personally, I don't like the screen control assists. Alright, I'm done torturing you, chat. So here's the thing. Here's the problem. Do you guys see it yet? I'll give you a hint, it's not the block stun. Pushback is not the problem either. Ryan is correct. Happy fucking birthday. You are very vulnerable to happy birthdays. Trunks stays on the screen for an extremely long time. which means that if your frame traps are not perfect, or worse, if you don't know how to frame trap with that assist, because the timing is quite specific, you are going to get killed at a high level. You want to play Trunks Beam if you play Trunks. Trunks B is his best assist. I don't care what you think. I don't care if you're like, oh, but Trunks A can, anti-air. No, none of that. Only play Trunks A if you want to die. That assist is one of the biggest reasons why this character didn't see more play in Season 2 and Season 1. France actually has an amazing Trunks. And when he played Trunks again in Season 3, he went straight for B. You want to be super, super careful with that assist. More importantly, yes, the team competes for bar. Now, Yamcha assist is really good. However, Yamcha also has some weaknesses himself. What are Yamcha's weaknesses, chat? What are Trunks' weaknesses, chat? Good. Yeah, I timed that right. Maybe I did it there. See? Look at the difference in timing, guys. There you go. You want to be very careful with that. You can even do something like... Maybe that's enough block set? Yeah, that's enough block set. You basically have to hit it while the assist is hitting you. But what if you do this? The famous tick throw. That might hit meaty, I think. There you go, that's the tick throw. Oops. Yeah. I just smash every time. Oops. Boom. That's a weakness with this team. Oh, I accidentally returned to lobby. My bad. But point being, That's a weakness with the team. Again, Yamcha. Yamcha has no DHC damage. Yamcha has very poor meter gain, and Yamcha is very greedy because he has to level 4, level 3 to get any kind of good damage. I did not ask for a novel on Trunks. No offense, guys. Yeah, I'm not reading that. But basically, the point is this team, this shell, pretty good. This shell, pretty good. This shell, not so good. If you want to play Trunks, you can play Trunks. I would recommend, especially, he's a very hard character to learn, but I think if you can get the hang of him, you would have a good time with him. Like, he's kind of worth it. I don't think he's overly strong, and my opinion of him gets worse by the day, but I don't necessarily think you're wrong to play him. So, if you want to play him, you can. So, think about it like that, guys. What's another team? We'll do one more team where we can analyze the issue. Chat, give me a team. I would not do Yamcha. I would drop Yamcha and pick a better mid. Bardock, Kefla, Vegeta. All right, chat. Let's break down Saber's team. What do we think? What is this team really, really good at? What's scary? Chat? How do you guys feel about Saber's team? What about pressure? Okay, yeah. Staggers, I'm not sure what you mean. Like, yeah, I'm staggering, but you think that's a weakness? Resets. Okay, you're confusing me now. Oh, strengths. I want to know what chat thinks. You should know the strengths and weaknesses of this team. Wow, chat is at a loss. I don't think this team is that hard to figure out. Chat. Chat. What are the strengths and weaknesses of this team? Here, this combo structure is weird. Alright. Basically, chat, I'm very disappointed in you right now. But basically, what this team is really good at, it has excellent neutral. This team is very difficult to actually approach. SHA Vegeta cuts off a very important angle and makes an X, which is generally pretty decent because people will generally try to avoid this assist or super dash it. This character has 2 excellent anti-airs. Fantastic. This is really good. An anti-air that comes out on frame 8. That is insane. This is faster than 2H, believe it or not. Now, the reason why that's important, this is pretty good. Now, here, how does it look on Kefla's end? On Kefla's end, this is where the team becomes a little bit weaker. Because, yes, she gets this. That's a lot of block stun, and it's almost difficult for Kefla to work with it, because it doesn't space her out for a lot of stuff. In the corner, it's a little bit better. Because then you could do stuff like... do stuff like that. Stuff like that. You get a 50-50. That's pretty cool. You get that. Really nice. A lot of block stun. You can do basic mix-ups like... stuff like that. Boom. We're cooking with gas. Okay, cool. Problem is, this assist, quite slow. Doesn't really help Kefla a whole lot. And it doesn't help her confirm. She doesn't have a lot of assists that help her confirm off this mid-screen. So that's kind of important. It's also pretty slow, so using it with Zoom mix-ups is a bit on the slower end because they have enough time to react to the fact that you dashed, which means if they press the button, they likely jab the assist already. On accident, if they were trying to tech the DR. So, right off the bat, this team, when Kefla's on point, not necessarily the strongest. This team is arguably almost at its strongest with this configuration. Because you have excellent screen control. You have fantastic combo routes that build a pretty decent amount of meter. Oops. I hate Vegeta's to him. Oh, missed it. Let's do this, actually. Let's do that. Oops, dropped it. Point is, not a bad chunk of meter. Not a bad chunk of damage, either. Really? Not only that, one of the bigger problems with Vegeta himself is that Vegeta, while having excellent stagger pressure, is not really that much of a threat on his own. However, with Bardock B, he's got a threat. Oh my god, that's hard to time. That air dash. If you can pull this off, you get a 50-50. Guess you could do for extra height, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, you get on wake up. Get that. You can even get even stuff like that. It becomes a 50-50. Like a legit 50-50. Boom. There you go. So, this team, overall, very fundamentals heavy, very strong. But the game plan is very simple. If any of your characters die, your team becomes ostensibly weaker. If Kefla is left with any of these assists, she can use them, sometimes quite well, but they do weaken her overall game plan and make her significantly less of a threat. Which means my goal would be to kill Bardock or Vegeta. I can formulate a strategy around that. And you also don't have... I mean, I guess you kind of have a level 3 with a 50-50. Because you do have Super Jump IAD with Bardock, I'm sure. But you also don't have a threat on knockdown. You also have somewhat low DHC damage on level 3. Both of your level 3s do 1660 or 1669. So your level 3 damage is not going to be that high, especially for the mix. But overall, this team, while not bad, it's overall very solid. It's going to maintain its integrity. So the only way I would be able to formulate a strategy of abusing the weaknesses of this team is pretty much to pray that you mess up or blunder and lose a character. Or you're very susceptible as well to a character essentially... You're very susceptible essentially to, you know... I guess you also kind of lack a traditional 50-50 with Bardock on point. Not that you really need one, but that does kind of suck. And you only have one assist to help with your pressure. But that's not really a weakness. It just means it's something that your opponent needs to keep track of and pay attention. And if they bait both of your assists, Bardock's pressure is not overly scary. It's literally just this. And you have to start taking risks. Now, Bardock is still a great character, but I would say the biggest weakness of this team is that it's not that scary. You can't really formulate a strategy around killing this team. However, this team does destabilize as it gets, as you start losing characters. And if that's the case, that is something that your opponent can exploit because it will be in your best interest to always want to preserve your team. It should always be in your best interest to do so. But now you can't even play the mind game of like, there's a 75% raw tag. He raw tags here. With this team, you want to rotate your team and keep it alive as long as possible, which means that things like raw tag baits, spark baits are going to become a lot more common, and they're going to be a lot more effective against this team specifically. All right, and that just about wraps us up, chat. I'm going to reiterate one more time. If you guys want to clip this for your reminders, go ahead. But basically, formulating a strategy requires a lot of things, but it comes down to 5 basic principles. Know yourself. Know yourself. Know your weaknesses. Know your enemy. Know what your opponent wants. And know how to deny them what they want. Those are the 5 principles. Think about that. And then when you apply the lens of your homework for this week, by the way, when you apply this lens to watching play and watching high-level play, you will begin to see the answers of those questions formulating. And that is what's going to be the precursor for us moving on to our next installment in strategy, which is how to attack and force moves, how to implement more advanced strategies, and taking a look at different strategies from different games and recreating them and seeing if we can see the emergence of strategy. So it's going to be really, really fun. The Point War series is one that I'm thoroughly enjoying. But that's going to be your homework for this, guys. And for us to wrap this up, we are going to do one big thing. Oop, didn't mean to knock it. We're going to go to VODs. So the match that I selected for this, in particular, is versus fighting Wawa versus Goichi. I have the link set to go up now every 15 minutes. But we are going to watch this, chat. And I think that this match is going to be incredibly, incredibly instructive.
Goku, Goku! Alright, what's it gonna be?
Oh. Alright, already chat, we can begin analysis. What do these teams tell you? What does Goichi's team in the context of Season 2 tell you he wants? Now, strategy around team building was not this sophisticated or developed. But what does Goichi want here with this team? What is he looking for? Getting in to make his opponent block. You are correct. This team is team neutral. You have complete control over almost every angle with Bardock, and you have complete control over the ground and complete control over the jump angle with this character. The goal of Bardock is to develop GT. Your goal is to essentially build enough meter and do enough damage to go into this little fucker's level 3. And I don't mean Super Saiyan 4, and I don't mean his little Piccolo move. I'm talking about Genki Dama. He wants to Genki. This character also has amazing fuzzies. But this was a little bit before that time. Now let's take a look at Wawa's team. Wawa's team is a little bit less methodical and a little bit more confusing, but I would understand why he would put GT point. But what is going on with GTs? Chat, are you alive? What the hell's going on? Chat, wake up. Class is in session. Don't embarrass me in front of YouTube. Yeah, I'm asking you a question. I expect answers. That's how you learn. Oh, you get an excuse, Downbird. I'm talking about my subscribers. Thank you so much for the follow. Kiting is the way, I think. Kiting? I'm not sure. It's up 50-50 every time I read a message. But thank you guys so much for the follow. You guys are being very generous, and I really appreciate it. But, guys, Wawa team, breakdown. Breakdown now. Breakdown. Chat. Is this how you guys were in school? Some of you are uni students. I'm concerned. Develop base coup. Yep. Genkidama, baby. And GT has pretty decent meter gain. For some reason. So, let's take a look and see if we can see any strategies forming. I'm going to pause a lot, and I'm going to ask you guys a lot of questions. Chat, I actually do expect answers, because that'll tell me you're learning. I'm going to be very demanding with you today, chat.
We're having Wawa Rojo.
Oh,
The red form.
yeah.
Red Wawa. That's gonna
Be so good.
It's gonna be really good, man.
I miss offline.
All right, let's see. I'm
Straight
really
in
curious
here.
to see that's gonna be a first to 3
All right off the bat.
because this is
You can kind of tell what Goichi was
let's
expecting
see.
here.
I'm
Straight
really
in
curious
here.
to see that's gonna be a first to
Goichi was expecting a jump. And I love that they both play more or less the same shell, just with different characters. But they both
because this
have a different approach.
is final.
Goichi takes
Go.
neutral.
Wawa plays GT Goku on point. Not
Okay.
you actually see that. You normally see him.
So now we're talking about rhythm, something that we'll go
Go.
over in
Wawa.
later master classes for pressure.
Plays GT Goku on point.
Look
Not you
at
actually see that.
that
You normally see him, like,
beautiful
second or third
rhythm.
on the team.
Beautiful rhythm. One more time.
Not often you actually see that. You normally see him like second or
Look
third on the
at
team.
that beautiful rhythm.
Wawa plays GT Goku on
Notice
point.
how
Not often you
slow
actually
it
see that. You normally
starts,
see him, like, second
and
or
notice
third
how
on the team.
after the reset, it becomes a little bit faster. 50-50. Do you guys see the alternation in rhythm? That is a beautiful example of how to vary your rhythm and pressure to make everything a little bit more ambiguous and harder to react to.
I think Wawa is just showing Goichi
Nice.
Senpai. Goichi Senpai how much he looks up to him.
One of the most common questions, by the way, I get when pressure, completely unrelated. But one of the most common questions I get is, if you need to gather data on your opponent, what's the first block string you should do on your opponent to gather data? This. You do this.
Wawa plays GT go 1 point. No, you actually see that. You normally see him second or third on the team.
Very safe pressure with very large gaps and in varying rhythm, because what Goichi's doing right now is he's feeling out Wawa. What's going to make him want to press? What's going to make him want to reflect? Is he going to block everything? Is he going to crack? And the moment Goichi realized that he would, instantly 50-50.
I think Wawa is just showing Goichi senpai.
Goes for a Dragon Rush. Dragon Rush is teched. Goichi immediately backs off. Back dashes, reflects the assist,
And now Goichi is gonna
loses
show
his
him.
turn.
You're going to learn today, son.
That's gonna be an exchange.
Now Wawa's pressure
And now Goichi
is a little
gonna
bit
show him.
faster.
You're going to learn today, son.
That's gonna be an exchange of defensive moments between these two.
Yeah, you're going to learn.
Once again,
All right, nice.
there we go. We found a stagger pressure.
Moments
So right already,
between these two.
Yeah, you're going to learn.
already, Goichi is searching for an answer. What does he want?
All right,
He found something. 5S.
nice reflect there.
All right.
Boom. Boom. What happened here, chat?
All right, nice reflect there.
All right. Corner the
What happened there, chat? I want to see some answers. What do you guys think happened there? Except Downbird. Downbird, you learn. Downbird is precious. Downbird, he gets a pass. Because Downbird is nice, and Downbird is new. Ryan, if you're in the chat, you should have the answer to this question. You're my angel trainee. I respect that you answered, Downbird. Not quite. It's okay if you don't know the answer. Just absorb. Just absorb. But, yo, where's Akino? Where's Savage? Where are you guys at? Saber. My boy. Really holding it down for the chat. I really appreciate it. Who's here? Chat, where are you guys? Chat. Wake up. Let's go. But you are correct, Saber. That is exactly what happened.
All right, nice reflect there.
All right.
But Goichi, but he
All right,
kind of made a
nice
mistake
reflect
here.
there.
So Wawa kind of noticed that Goichi likes to do a true block string with a very delayed pressure. He blocks 2M. Notice how after blocking 2M, he immediately stand blocks. The reason why he's stand blocking is he's getting ready to reflect.
All right. Corner.
And Goichi notices and goes for 2L. All according to Keikaku. So how did Goichi know to go 2L here? How did Goichi know that? Do you think he was just looking for the stand block? Was he expecting it? No, guys. No.
All right, nice reflect there.
His pressure up until now has been telling us he's trying to make it as ambiguous as possible. Because look at that rhythm. Look how ambiguous
nice
that reflect is. I'm not that reflect, that 2L.
All right. Corner.
That 2L felt like it had the same timing as everything else Goichi was doing. He snuck that 2L in there and lured basically Wawa into a false sense of security into getting ready to reflect and then hitting him with a reset. He wasn't really looking for that. So Wawa gets hit.
Ah, opened up.
Opening.
Yep,
Gets
Goichi.
tigers.
Good stuff right there. Bardock going to work. There we go. Dragon Rush. Look at this. Into
Right.
level 3.
Yeah,
Level
tigers
3.
for the better mix-up. Go each.
So now we have a bar.
Maximizing the damage.
Look at that.
If we get 2 more bars, we get Gankidama.
That is gonna be the story
Ah.
of this match.
Wawa sparks immediately.
Go Ichi. Maximizing the damage.
Look at that.
That is gonna be The story of this match starts straight away.
Very clever on Wawa. Watch this.
That is gonna be
3
story
bars.
of this match starts
Beams. Empty vanishes for the conversion. Spends a bar. He's in meter penalty.
I see you, Wawa.
Boom.
And the
My God,
Boom.
I still can't believe that this works, man.
And now he gets 5 bars
He gets a full run.
Yo, coast to coast.
into
Space
Genki
coast.
Dama.
And
Oh
straight,
my goodness.
send some energy to the base.
Everyone in the
Utilizing
crowd
his
up
spark
and
in this moment to get an insane lead. We get a
there.
meaty.
Oh, no. The damage was OD.
So now it's Wawa's turn.
Look at the damage.
Yo,
Then the mix-up.
no.
Right here.
The damage was OD.
What is Wawa doing?
Oh!
And why did that work?
Look at the damage.
One more
Then the
time.
mix-up.
What is Wawa doing?
The damage was OD.
And why did that work? Chat. Sparking bait. Yeah. Yeah. Sparking bait. Okay. Cool. Good wing, dude. Sparking bait.
In the air, and look at the
That's a great decision. Now here's the question.
Oh,
Then the mix-up.
no. The damage was OD.
Why did Wawa try so hard to bake that spark?
Arms are in the air, and look at the damage.
Yo,
Then
no.
Because right there,
No.
that's sparking bait. This is the first attempt at sparking bait.
Damage was
And then he does it again. Why? Why did he try so hard for that spark bait?
arms are in the air, and look at the damage.
Yo,
Then the mix-up.
no. The damage was OD.
Why did he try so hard for that spark bait? Koichi has to save GT. Remember when we talked about earlier, guys, about forcing moves? This is a semi-forced move.
In the air, and look at the damage.
Now, GT had answers.
No. The damage was OD.
GT had answers here,
Oh, that's gonna be a dead.
but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Koichi was not confident that he can get out in time. So, that was a great force move. Especially, but there's one detail here. This spark bait was smart, because this spark bait, he essentially has to spend his spark here. But why did he assume Koichi would spend his spark? Like, yes, he has to save GT, but why doesn't he just raw tag? Why does he think he's going to spend his spark specifically? There is a reason here, and whoever answers correctly gets a cookie. Because, yeah, you're right. He does have to save GT, but there are other ways to do it. Goichi tried the other ways to do it. Why was Wawa so intent on this particular spark? Nope. These are not bad answers at all, but they are missing one very crucial thing. I don't expect correct answers. I just want to see how close you guys can get. I want to see if you guys have been paying very close attention. He could tag for those, yeah. And Goichi could bait those tags as well. I'm sorry, he can bait those tags as well. He has a grab. Honestly, he could have right here.
Arms are in the
Oh
air.
my
and
god, look at the
damage
Right here?
there, the mix-up.
No.
He has 2 assists.
The damage was OD.
He literally
Arms are in the air.
Oh my
and
god, look at the
damage there, the mix-up.
no.
Alright.
The damage was
could have just did a string, 5L, grab. Call GT grab. No. Wawa's not looking for the tag. Wawa wants the spark, specifically. But why? What information can we glean about this situation that would lead Wawa to believe Goichi would want to spark? Let's try to reconstruct Wawa's thinking. Why would he know? Because he knows the correct answer here. Goichi has to spark. But how does he know that he should? How is this situation forcing the spark? All right. Press Baguette. I want to see Baguettes in the chat if you give up. If I see 3, I'll answer the question. From 3 different people. I want to see Baguettes in the chat. Do you guys give up? Do you want me to give you the answer? Okay, that's 1. Can I get 2 more Baguettes if you guys give up? Or will Saber try again? That's 2. Can I get a 3 or an answer? Because Wawa has 2 assists to handle an incoming tag, making block and spark the safest option. You're close, but not exactly. Come on, guys. It's right there. It's right in front of our faces. Tag would just be riskier to get hit by the shoulder. Not necessarily. Honestly, if he raw tagged, that would have been the smart thing to do. He's not worried about the shoulder. The reason why Goichi didn't tag was because he didn't want to risk a 2H on reaction. But that's not why. Wawa knows Goichi doesn't want to risk a 2H. He knows his only way out is to spark. Or die. But why does he know that? Am I going to get another baguette? Can I get one more baguette?
Any questions?
Because his opponent is Goichi, and he wouldn't want to risk GT. There it is. My third baguette. Because Wawa just spent his spark. Wawa spent his spark, which means there is no reason for Goichi to hold on to his spark. Remember, guys, the spark war. Whoever sparks first loses. It's a game of chicken. Your spark is one of your most important defensive resources. Wawa just basically spent his to fast track the development of base coup and to put a character in a near death situation. That was a lot of damage. Goichi cannot risk a tag because 2H. He needs to spark. So right here, Goichi's in the situation of if you spark, you're an idiot. But if you don't spark, you're dumb. It's a forced situation. This is how we take advantage of a situation. You see, Wawa formed a strategy here. Wawa was not expecting to spark and get that beam, but he got the beam hit and he decided to use that opportunity to create a forced situation. He created a strategy because he knew that if GT lived, GT would have to spend his spark, which means even if GT got out, this game is a lot more even. GT is bleeding a lot more than any of his other characters, and more importantly, he would be out of spark 2, which would make Wawa's job a lot easier because now Wawa has some mix-ups that he can try without having to worry about getting sparked out of it. He got rid of the most important, crucial mechanic. He removes spark from play, which is a big goal when you are playing the point war. Goichi knew this, which is why Goichi was so stubborn and decided to try to fuzzy jump.
It was OD.
Oh,
you're done.
that's gonna be a dead. GT Goku Wawa is the one to take the first character. Parents, I keep my. GT Goku
Now,
Wawa
let's see what
is
happens.
The one to take the first character. Parents, I keep.
You see how much more aggressive this is? Base coup shoulder into GT.
Wawa is the one to take the first
Bardock,
character.
very smart.
I keep.
Jumps out of there. But unlike most people who jump back, which by the way GT assist prevents, he was smart and jumped forward. After spending his assist to cover him, right here, excellent movement. Excellent movement. And this is why I tell you guys, jump forward is sometimes the way. Back dashes, sees the beam, immediately jumps. This right here, that JM, very, very, very smart. That JM, basically preventing base coup from air to airing, and then immediately buffering a jump to avoid the beam. Spends his double jump. He knew the jig was up. He spent his double jump. There's nothing he can do. He knew this too. So he's gonna shoulder.
No.
Oh, okay. Drops,
Now we stagger.
Then we go to S pressure.
Now here's the thing. Wawa is gonna put the pressure on
Then we
Goichi.
go to S pressure.
He's gonna put the pressure on Goichi because he knows Goichi likes to block. So his job is to get Goichi to crack. That's the strategy. I know my opponent likes to block. So we're going to get them to crack with the unrelenting pressure and the threat of our grab here.
Okay, these strings are
6M. Fuzzy jump. Yeah, he's cracking. All right.
Goichi is happy to block.
Yep.
Of course he is. Oh!
But he didn't expect that.
He did it.
He did. I like that.
He pressed summon.
Goichi knew that his opponent was taking advantage of his respect. So Goichi decided to disrespect.
Summon.
Yeah, you know that Wawa is respecting you, so he's just going for the block strings.
And here you go.
Stop
Goichi.
him.
Goichi with the Spanish tribute.
And this is probably right here the reason why I chose this video. Right here, the best play, in my opinion, of the entire set, and one of the best plays I've seen in Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is why I say Goichi is quite possibly the best at forcing situations.
Right there.
Boom. What happened here?
So he's just going for the block
Let's watch that again.
Stop him.
Goichi with the Spanish tribute right there.
You might be wondering, how was Goichi so ready to raw tag on reaction?
Expecting you, so he's just going for the block strings.
This move was the most brilliant 3 bars I have ever seen spent. Why? We're going to break this down bit by bit, chat. Why is this the most brilliant 3 bars I've ever seen spent? What's the strategy here?
You press summon. You press summon.
Yeah, you know that Wawa is respecting you, so he's just going for the block.
Why is this the most brilliant 3 bars I've seen spent?
Strings.
Goichi.
Saber, my Wonder Kid, do you have any ideas? Any ideas, chat? Why was this level 3 brilliant? You're not too far from the mark, but it is a little bit inaccurate. But you are correct. He is trying to force the tag, but not with the hard knockdown. It's not necessarily that he's even trying to force the tag specifically. The blue health from Raw level 3. You are correct, Downbird. But why is the blue health in this particular instance so important? There was no Oki off level 3. Bardock is too far away, and this was pre-moon jump days. As you can see, Goichi's strategy right here. Lariat plus beam. He enticed the tag, yes.
The Spanish.
This is what Goichi was planning. Goichi was planning on using the beam to hit Meaty and Bardock to basically land and put him in pressure. And that pressure probably would have led to him raw tagging one of his characters or risking Baseku's death. It would have been a forcing situation. But Goichi, the genius, notices that he gets hit immediately and disengages. This right here, you're about to see why Goichi is one of the best, no, not one of, the best player in the world at this time.
Right there.
So what does he do? No assists. He's got nothing. He's holding X.
Wawa is respecting you, so he's just going for the block strings.
Goichi. Goichi with
Now
the
here,
Spanish.
this is the big quiz
Right there.
right here, guys. He ID backs JM. Why would he do this? Why would he do this? Because
Respecting you, so he's just going for the block strings.
to hit the incoming tag.
Goichi with the Spanish tribute. Right
But
there.
honestly, he could have just stopped and then backdashed and 2H'd all the same.
Respecting you, so he's just going for the block strings.
Why specifically
Goichi with the Spanish tribute right there.
did he go for the IED back JM? To fake out his pressure. You don't fake out your pressure with the backdash. That's not it. Think about this, guys. What does your opponent want, and what are their options? Bait, but bait what? This IED back JM is probably one of the most brilliant moves I've ever seen. Wawa's not that aggro.
Wawa is respecting you, so he's just going for the block.
But he's not... No, he's not trying to catch the SD.
Goichi.
Because like I said,
Goichi with the Spanish
Goichi,
tribute
all he would have
right
to do
there.
is just dash, stop, walk back, and he would still 2H. This is the most common thing you would see at this level. You see, if Goichi
That Wawa is
paid very, very close
respecting you, so
attention,
he's just
and
going for the block
Goichi
string.
was watching that X,
Goichi with the Spanish tribute right.
he's already
there.
holding that X. If he notices, he would have just stopped, walked back, 2H'd. But instead, he chose to ID back JM. You're very close, Saber. Think about this. Know yourself. Know your enemy. Which also means know your enemy's team. What is your team, your opponent's team, capable of? What is this character capable of? Goichi's one of the... Wawa's one of the best players in the world. He's not going to rock Kaioken. And that wouldn't bait it anyway. If someone was this aggressive, what they would do, if I saw Goichi run up to me like that, I would 236H and immediately call a beam. 236H plus beam, cut off the ground. If he jumps, I'm safe. I can raw tag. Because he's in the air, he can't 2H. He could 236M, but the likelihood of him doing that is very, very, very minimal. If he doesn't jump, he gets put in a block stun situation. I can either basically fake out his pressure or create a safe tag situation with the assist. If he gets hit, I could spend a bar and convert and tag out my character in the ensuing chaos. Two 3-6H here is the best move. Goichi instantly recognized that. That backdash would have baited it. Because that's what you do against opponents with a lariat. You backdash JM. So he backdashed JM because the JM would specifically target for the moment the invul wore off. And if it didn't, he would likely safe jump. And if he didn't backdash JM, he would still recover in time to 2H. Wawa was fucked the entire time. There was no way out of this. You are damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because his best move, because Wawa was smart, his best move, 236H, would have gotten him killed.
Right there.
You, so he's just going for the block strings. Stop
Goichi.
him.
Goichi with the Spanish tribute right there.
It would have gotten him killed. It would have gotten him killed, guys. And right there, you just saw the most forcing move in the entire game so far. Where Bardock denied all of Wawa's options. Wawa cannot spark. Wawa had barred a 236H, but he couldn't 236H because it would have died. And he can't raw tag because he would have died. His only answer, the correct answer, was to do nothing and return to neutral. That's the correct answer. But who the fuck does that? No one's going to do that. Especially at high level. Remember, getting this character out is a priority. You cannot fuck around because his assist is coming back. If he gets an assist and he lariats in, that's GG's. This character does not have a single frame 1 reversal. There's nothing he can do. This base coup is vulnerable. And if this base coup dies, you lose a big, big damage factor on Wawa's team. This situation for Wawa was straight up losing.
Oh! Snap him in.
Snap him back in. Snap him back in.
And here's the worst part.
That base Goku.
He brings that base coup back in. One way or another, that base coup was losing his health.
Knows the threat that he provides. All right.
Boom.
That was so
That right there is strategy. Because he knows right now Wawa's probably frustrated and frazzled. And Wawa does not want to block this. Wawa just came in on incoming from Snap. Wawa likes to reflect.
All right.
He targets the reflect.
that was so delayed,
And that
is there.
base
Goichi's
coup
gonna try to make the most of it. Probably not gonna be able
doesn't
to
die. You don't get enough bar
this
here.
one, but gonna extend absolutely to the max. One more mix-up needed for him,
Ah,
and that's
there
gonna
it
be.
is.
Wawa doesn't want to block.
But gonna extend
How do I know that?
absolutely to the max. One more mix-up.
He tried to mash too well. Probably read the DR.
Needed for him,
Ah,
and that's
there
gonna
it
be
is.
a dead base Goku. Goichi even it up, but he still has sparking. He's the one on the advantage.
Now, we just watched the best player in the world go from straight up losing to not only tying the game, but actually winning because he still has Spark.
Advantageous position right now.
There we go. Ties up 2 characters apiece, but like you said, Goichi Spark is there. Okay.
Neutral. This is high-level neutral. You might be wondering, how did he know that he was going to 5S?
But like you said, Goichi Spark is there.
5S, checking the approach. We got to jump in. He backdashes to avoid any air dash-ins.
Okay.
Backdash again. The moment you create distance and your opponent sits here, what's the thing that every player is going to want to do? Press 5S. And notice how the dash jump began before Wawa even pressed 5S.
Goichi Spark is there.
Or around the same time.
Okay.
He's already dashing. He already has the intention to jump. And that's because he used his movement to basically lie to Wawa and say, yeah, go ahead, zone.
Okay.
Zone. Zone. That right there, guys, you are now, maybe you knew this, but now you guys are seeing it firsthand, why this man, Goichi, was the best player on the entire planet. This is what makes him terrifying. Because he knows what you want to do and kills you for it.
Ah, clean jump from Goichi. He knew Wawa's approach.
He knew.
There we go. Gonna get the knockdown. Okay, level 3 time. Bardock. Revenge Assault.
Alright. What's the mix-up gonna be? Wawa has to block this one. Goku's like,
pressure.
oh,
Oh.
No mix! Bardock has no mix! Press 1 if you got hit. Press 1 if you got hit. I'll let you see it again.
what's the mix-up gonna be? Wawa has to block this one. Goku's like,
Pressure.
oh, my,
Oh.
Press 1 if you got hit.
What on
oh
earth was
my
that?
God.
Wawa reeling back in his seat.
This was a mix-up from the future, Terrence.
There you go.
That was definitely future gaming.
Future. The bad timeline.
Listen, that's like Goichi from the future, man.
Yep. Ooh.
A little bit of revenge here.
Listen, that's like Goichi from the future, man.
Yep. Ooh. Okay.
He's trying to punch.
He really expected that lariat to hit.
Ooh.
He is specifically targeting Wawa's Reflect Habit.
Ooh. Okay.
He's trying to punch man up.
Yeah, man.
The defense is on point so far, trying to lil.
Excellent movement.
Ah,
Excellent
okay,
neutral from
okay.
both ends.
Bum.
Oh, he drops
He's
the
doing
critical
a little
combo.
too
That would have put him in Genki Dama.
La. All right. Is it gonna be?
So Wawa is losing his patience? I can't say for sure, but there's some. I have it on good authority that there is actually some fuckery going on right now, like outside of the game, that is preventing Wawa and is actually kind of frustrating him. But it's not so much the game. But it's not so much that he's losing his patience. Wawa's just frazzled.
Be here. Every single thing is a risk right now.
Yeah, lots of respect there. Wawa is trying to find his way in.
Wow, the patience being displayed here.
Yeah.
214 H bar.
Gets away from the pressure. The assist
Great
is out
movement
of the
on
equation.
Wawa's
You can
end.
see Wawa is trying to rush now the assist.
Great 2H from Wawa.
Man,
He's gonna get
The
Genki Dama.
the minners are being thanked.
Oh, they're gonna get it. He's gonna get it right now.
Thank you.
Dun,
Uchi.
dun.
Thank the Minas.
Boom, hands in the air, please.
1888 minimum
There it is.
damage. Probably one of the highest level
Not gonna
3s
be
in the
enough
entire
for the
game.
kill, I don't think.
Oh,
Oh
he's
no,
gonna go
it
for
just
the
yeah, no, because the
And
power from the
extends
level 1.
and
you're
kills.
Oh my
There you go,
God.
Super Saiyan 3. The
Wawa
most
Good times.
did an
man.
amazing job.
Good times.
Wawa regaining
I'm
control
having
of
a
the
good time right
situation.
now. But is Wa-
We will talk about this match again when navigating the end game.
Goichi with a life lead right now. Meter advantage, huge meter advantage, in fact.
All right, the blocks. Can Wawa get this one?
Dragon
What?
Rush, really?
That was a gutsy Dragon Rush, but it worked. Wawa.
He has to go for that one,
down,
yeah. And I was going to go for. Okay.
Respect.
Not much he can go for, but to be honest.
Yeah, not much as well. I think that's gonna be a level 3. Level 3.
Yeah, he's
From
going to get some
Goichi?
damage. It'll guess for the game situation afterwards.
There we go.
Okay,
And
Wawa
now-
needs to think out of his mind, needs to defend.
Yeah, not the best setup in the game to be honest right now since the nerf.
Yeah,
But
true.
has a guaranteed setup. Great block by Wawa. Gets the
See
dash
that?
in as well.
Oh. Yo,
Okay.
pressure.
Oh my God. What is
Reverse.
that? Turret.
Reverse coming home.
These are mix-ups from the future.
Oh, the jab.
Okay. No conversion.
Wawa right now, so scary. Likewise, Goichi just defended it out.
Great stagger pressure.
Goichi knows.
Is he
what-
teaching him a lesson right now? He says,
Oh!
How?
Listen.
Called out the fuzzy jumping habit that Koichi
Future
has.
is now. We are all living in 2019.
Very smart. Now you see Wawa come back to life. Wawa making
Wawa
a
is in
statement here.
2019. It is time to
And
thank
Genki
the
Dama.
winners.
And-
And now it's a guess for the game situation.
Just as Goichi had that situation. He said, just the jab.
What is
Reverse.
that? Turret.
Reverse coming home.
These are mix-ups from the future.
What is this meter
the
game?
jab.
Okay. No conversion.
Wawa right now, so scary. Likewise,
With just
Goichi
movement.
defended it out.
Goichi knows.
He almost
teaching
built
him a lesson right now?
the bar
He says,
back.
"Oh, you joke. How?
Listen, the future is now. We are all living in 2019. Wawa is in 2019. It is time to thank the winners.
And-
And now it's a guess for the game situation.
Just as Goichi had that situation, Wawa has it right now. What's it going to be? The Dragon Rush, great
What a
tech.
godlike
What's
tech.
it going to be? Kamehameha. Oh, crossover. Oh, everyone watching in awe right now.
One more hit. One more hit.
Silence in the cinema.
One more hit needed. Blocks.
Oh.
Blocks again.
Oh, whoa.
Oh my God, what a
Oh my
block.
goodness.
He sent you sweet.
Oh, went for it. And now he's got two.
45 seconds remaining
Oh
between
my
these two.
goodness.
So tense.
Oh my
Turret.
goodness. Oh my. What's that? Tatsu's away.
That was an EX punch. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
punch.
oh,
that was
yeah,
not
yeah.
there.
Okay,
Alright,
what's it going
in
to be?
the corner.
Oh.
In the corner.
And 2 or 4.
Groovy. Trying to be groovy. The blocks on the
No,
6 head.
okay.
Tries to jump back.
Oh!
Great tech.
Tech on the DR.
30 seconds remaining. What
Oh
a
my
moment
goodness.
it is,
This
guys.
And what fucking wins Goichi? The match, by the way?
is oh!
Jump back.
The
Tech on the
fucking
30 seconds remaining. What
Oh
a
my
moment
goodness.
it is.
homework. That's it. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. That's going to be our show for today. If you enjoyed this, please go ahead and consider subscribing or donating. It does support the channel. If we hit our donation goal, Star and I will do a paint stream where we can do some art stuff and hang out. If you guys are interested, the stream schedule for this week is up, so make sure to join me tomorrow night for ring match evaluations after maintenance. I look forward to seeing you guys there. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Good night, y'all.